there is a server. I name it like resource server. Okay. Any server which provides services, we call it like resource server. Think like this is a resource server. Normal website, you can assume website resource server because it provides the services, right? And it has the resources. And we do have clients, user 1, user 2, user 3. What they do, they try to log into their own account, something like altero.com. When user 1 logs in, he will be able to contact or he will be able to send a request to the alteromutual.com and he will be able to log in. User 3, in case if user 3 logs in with his credentials, username and password, they have their own session cookies. That's it, right? Cookie 1 and cookie 3. If the user 1 is able to update the cookie of user 3, then it is called privilege escalation and user 1 gets all the properties of user 3. This we have discussed some time back. Here, the session management is done with the help of session cookies. Okay. Apart from that, because of these cookies, right, these are like stateful authentication process. The reason is once the cookie gets authenticated, then that value has to be stored in the database. To overcome this or to have some kind of flexibility and for speed purpose, they come up with JWT, right, for a more security purpose, which they have incorporated header and payload and signature as part of the cookie. So there is no dependency on the resource server saying like that JWT has to be stored. It will be generated first from the server and it will be stored in the client. What it does, it will would have been received, that become comped. So that is the purpose of JWT, one more authentication mechanism. There are few more authentication or authorization process or mechanism like SAML, OpenID, and OAuth. As of now, OAuth 2.0 is there. In fact, SAML and OpenID works in a different context. These two works like works on the concept of single sign-on. Single sign-on in the sense you log in only once to any one application. You try to log in once with the help of username and password. After you log in, that will generate some token or SAML. In case of SAML authentication, single sign-on, it will generate a SAML token. In case of OpenID, it will generate one more token, similar token like access token. Then for all the other applications, connected applications, it make use of the token to access the connected applications. That is with respect to the SAML. But whereas OAuth 2.0, say this is your application, alteromutual.com or facebook.com or some blogging website. Hold on. Blog means like you are trying to put some of the things which you have worked, which are new, and so that other people can see your blog, right? You can maintain your own blog, say posting all your some of the regular activities on, maintain your own blog, or you have the access to post. There will be admin, there will be non-admin, normal users. Similar blog is there, and in general, you are sending a request to the server and you are getting the response. So far, whether it is JWT or cookie-based authentication or authorization, directly you are interacting with the resource server, that is a blog or Facebook. But when it comes to the OAuth 2.0, what happens is when you send a request to the blog or the facebook.com, they have provided one provision like the request will not hit this domain directly. In fact, the request will go to the authorization server. From here, it will get redirect to the authorization server. There will be one more server here. I call it like authorization server. Your app, browser, or any mobile app, or any other thing like you are trying to access from your mobile, and that is you are trying to access Facebook, FB, either from mobile or from the browser of your laptop browser, FB. The mechanism, the OAuth 2.0, how it supports is the request, instead of directly targeting the resource server, the request will go to the authorization server to get one code first. That is called grant code. We can say grant, basically grant or authorization code or whatever it is. The first request is to get the code. Once you get the code, authorization code, then the next request will be like, it will check for, it will take the consent of the user for the authentication purpose. This time you are trying to send username and password to the authorization server along with this code which has been generated. Grant code, we call it like grant code. Then there are few more parameters like client ID. Client is like which is the app or which is the browser you are trying to send a request. Clear? First request, the client will interact with the authorization server to get the grant code. After getting the grant code, what happens is it will try to send the credentials to the authorization server. It is not sending the credentials to the Facebook or the blog. Once you send, and in case if all the credentials are correct, your credentials verification will be done by the authorization server. The authorization server will give you the access token. Okay. This access token you take and pass this access token. Access token will be received to the client, and the client will take that access token and will be forwarded to the blog or the Facebook. With the help of the APIs. Okay. If the access token is valid, then you'll be able to log into your account. If the access token is invalid, you'll not be able to log into the Facebook account. So it is basically you're trying to log into facebook.com by using Google credentials or by using some other account credentials, or you have flipkart.com shopping website. Sometimes it will say like, okay, you can credentials. It will go to the Google authentication server, accessing the Flipkart images, Flipkart orders, Flipkart website. This is how the OAuth 2.0 works. Compared to the JWT and session based, here we are not passing the credentials to the resource server. That is the only main difference in OAuth 2.0. There are some process, some kind of steps. Maybe you can just have a look. How does this OAuth 2.0 works? Some simple workflow will take. Client. Client is basically a mobile or a system browser, whatever it is. First, the client will get the authorization grant or authorization code. This authorization code will be sent to the authorization server. From server, if the credentials are correct, we should be able to get the access token and use this. This is for Google. Let us take some more examples. Same thing here. Client application. Resource owners means basically know the user who knows the credential. First, he'll try to get the grant access. Okay, the app. They is trying to access server and sources. Whenever in the resource list or the client just the server mechanism. Here. Let me ask you some simple questions. I'm post APIs. I modified the action to retrieve the resources or the response in case if the application is secure. If the application is secure and you are trying to modify the access token and try to retrieve the details, will the request will be successful or not? Okay. Along, in fact, the request will be processed and the response will not have the response. Will get something like invalid token. That kind of message you're supposed to get. The next case, I'm trying to send the details. In fact, along with this, and this my account in my account, I'm trying to upload some of the images. Request. Everything is same. I just in the sense your email belongs to the user 3. What will happen? It should say like invalid email or should not go and update the details of user 3. If it is updating the details of the user 3, will that be an issue? Yes, of course, it is called privilege escalation, unauthorized access. One more scenario. This time, I'm trying to send some request, but the thing is, I logged out this token and logged out for accessing the website. Will I really? No, right? In case if you are able to access, that is a vulnerability. 2.0. You need to validate from this client with the help of open authentication 2.0 framework. You will be sending the user details, you will be sending the token, you will be sending some of the codes, grant code, or even you will be sending the client ID. Client ID is some ID. Trying to log yourself. You have seen you have login with your login page, login with Google. All this kind of have this OpenID integrated, not OpenID, OAuth integrated into the application, so that we'll be able to access the applications without sharing the credentials to the resource server. Rest of the other ones has its own importance and OpenID. You have a lot of a single login for all these applications, able to access all the applications without using that username and password. Login once, try to access all the applications at any time without login. That is federated identity, right? These are the different topics under authentication and authorization, access control mechanism. I think we have covered. We are done with the authentication and authorization mechanism. And maybe like we'll try one or two labs under this OAuth 2.0, right? Let us try some course figure. These labs are little gmail.com, password, login. Now go to the academy. We are working on labs related to the OAuth 2.0. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Authentication. JWT is done. WebSockets authentication. OAuth authentication. Then the first lab, authentication bypass via OAuth implicit flow. Implicit flow in the sense, the normal flow, there is some flaw in that. Try to find out how we can bypass the authentication by using that flow. Click on that. Just hold on. Login back. Right click, open in a new tab. This specific lab. Just read out what exactly they're asking for. This lab uses OAuth service for the authentication to allow users to log into the social media account. Basically, some social media account is there, you are trying to use OAuth service. flawed validation by the client application makes it possible for an attacker to log into other user accounts without knowing their password, right? How can they log in? Maybe like they should be able to tamper the access key, access token. Let us see how it works. To solve the lab, log into the call's account, her or his email address account. You should be able to access someone else. Try to access this lab. Some blog application. This is I'm going to use Burpsuit browser. Copy paste the URL, application URL, and go to the my account. See here, the moment you click on my account, it is redirecting you with a social networking account. You are trying to log into some account, but it is asking to sign in with some other, maybe like application, Google or Facebook or some other application credentials. It is not asking for the actual application login credentials. Login with the credentials of the social networking app. That's what they mentioned, right? Allows you to log in with their social media account, means Facebook or Google. Authenticate and sign in the profile and email. You can continue. Go to the my account. The objective account. I know the email address. Down. Let us see. First, we launch the application uh, to a different domain for validate. It is prompting for the social login, social networking login credentials. And finally, instead of Web Security Academy, the request has been redirected to the authorization server. If you are able to see it here, you see that auth.server.net. It is trying to pass to the client ID. URL is again pointing to the web or trying to contact auth.server.net for the authorization purpose. Okay. Then what happens? Somewhere we'll be submitting the credentials which we submitted. Scroll down to again web request is there, means with the help of token. Okay, so as part of the request you need to pass, they're asking like why don't we take it to this repeater. There's a token, it may work. Shall we try? W is there instead of W, XYZ, instead of W, X you put, send internal server error. Again W, same thing, try to send, it says not found. Or in the details what they have mentioned, email address, so that the request is same. I'm just changing the email address because when you are trying to authenticate, we are mainly concentrating on the email address and password. Instead of password, we have that token. Click on send 302 and it has generated some session. Right click, show response in the browser, copy, go back to the application, then enter. That's it. We are able to access the account of Carlos. Right? The key here is token validation is not done. Token for one account can be used for a different account. Yeah, you guys can try now the same lab. I see a query from Fanindra. How microservices will be authenticated? The logic is same. Most of the services will be authenticated with the help of a token. It can be a bearer token if you are using OAuth, or it can be JWT. JWT, yeah, it all depends on the kind of requirements which suits better for the framework. Try this scenario, very easy one. Just you need to capture the post request, authenticate request, modify the email address, and copy the response to the browser. Process it. Once it is processed, then you guys can modify the email address and then process it. All services need to be authenticated. Yes, of course, even in microservices, whatever are the services you are trying to invoke, most of the services will be authenticated. Why most? The reason is there are few APIs or services which are not actually exposed to the applications or the third parties, or like to the main application. There will be some microservices which are internally used. Those sometimes they don't implement the access control mechanism. Last 2 minutes, we'll move on to one more lab. These are the kind of issues maybe which you can try for bug bounties. Straightforward issues will not be there. You need to look at the interfaces. When your application tries to talk with a third party server, there comes up the tokens or the keys or the cookies where you can decrypt or you can modify, you can tamper, try to find out the issues. Okay, fair enough. Let us work on the one more lamp for today. Let me close this one. Proxy history, clear the history, it will be easier for the next lab. Authentication bypass via auth implicit flow. That's what we have done now. Scroll down, scroll down. How does the authentication bypass via auth implicit flow? Okay, that is done. Remember, whenever the application tries for authentication, it in fact tries to redirect the request to the authorization server with its client ID. Authentication bypass via auth implicit flow. That's what we have done, right? Yeah. The other one, forced auth profile linking. This lab gives you the option to attach a social media profile to your account so that you can log in via auth instead of using the normal user and password. That's what, right? You can log into the social media directly by using the auth instead of credentials. Due to the insecure implementation of the auth flow by the client application, an attacker can modify the functionality to obtain access to the other user accounts. We need to access the other user accounts. Okay. To solve this lab, use a CSRF attack to attach your social media profile to the admin user's account of the blog website. Then access the admin panel and delete the curlers. The admin user will open anything you send from the exploit server, and they have always active session on the blog website. Basically, you need to send some payload to the exploit server. Fair enough. We have given blog credentials, we have given social media credentials, right? One blog account, after you can log in, yeah, then you can link that to the social media account. After linking that social media account, you have to gain access to the admin account. That is the challenge here. Right click, open a new tab. I'll do it from my end. These are a little difficult. Maybe you guys can practice it later. Okay, copy the application URL. Go to the Bursuit browser. I'm trying to do it from scratch. Basically, the Bursuit tool doesn't have see the navigation steps, the sequence of steps that it follows when I try to perform the activities, right? Enter. We know the account credentials. Click on my account. See here, we have got two options. Either you can give username and password, or directly you can log in with social media account. First, try to log in with the actual credentials. What are the actual credentials? Wiener and Peter. WIE and your Wiener and password is Peter. Login. After you log in, then it is showing the current details of the Wiener, its email, its API key, social profile username is nothing. So as of now, we didn't link any Facebook account or Twitter account or LinkedIn account to my Google account, right? That's the reason it shows no profiles has been linked. Go to the social media account. Username is there, password is also there. Copy this, attach the social profile. Login. It is asking the social media profiles. Hot dog is a password. Click on sign in. Yes, of course, it will ask us to the consent. Continue. Successfully linked. How do you know that? Go to the my account. Then it says like your social media profile username is Peter. Dot Wiener. Okay. Launch this exploitation server separately. This is basically for generating the payload. Okay. What should we do now? Okay, we have successfully linked. Go to the history. See the sequence of steps that we have done. My account, I click login page, post login. What are the details we are trying to send there? We are trying to send the username and password, and it has some CSRF token also there for the login request. Get method. This is one more request to the authorization server where it is trying to send the client ID, and you see that there is a redirect URL, right? This redirect URL it is pointing to Web Security Academy. Okay, that's fine. Scroll down. One more interesting URL, OAuth linking code. OAuth 1 linking, and we do have some code here. Maybe can we expect like the account, the actual application we are trying to link to a new account, to a new, what would I say, social networking account, right? And we do have got one access token here. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Any other interesting URLs? I think these are the some of the interesting URLs, and we are able to see some token here. Auth linking code. If I want to link Wiener to one more social networking account, we are able to see a link with the code. Now, what we do not social media. In fact, right? If I here without any, if I click on login with social media, go to my account, right? What I do is I and see how the request goes. We'll make use of the interceptor and attach a social profile. The request has been captured. Forward, forward. Auth client ID is equal to there. Redirect URL is there. But we are looking for a code, right? What is that? Open redirect, if I am not wrong. Forward this request. Forward these circuits. Auth linking code. We have got one more code which can be used to link one more account. Right click, copy this URL, drop this packet. We don't want to send this request. Turn off the interceptor. What did we do? We dropped that packet because I don't want to add any account. I'm just trying to capture the token that is used for adding the new account. Exploit server also there. Navigate back. As of now, it is showing only one LinkedIn account and the username is still Wiener. Go to the exploit server. This exploit server functionality, in fact, I also refer the instructions how they are able to solve this lab. iframe and slash iframe. They said like exploitation server, whatever is the source, whatever is the payload you are trying to give, they are able to hit the admin account, right? So even if you are trying to provide a code, this will be hitting the admin account. You just deliver this exploit to the victim. Means like try to process this code which will hit the admin. That's it. I copied the URL whichever I have got it in the open redirect. Go to the profile linking, click on my account. iframe source is equal to so and so, code is equal to so and so, ending tag of the iframe. Log out, then click on my account. Okay, login with social media. Okay, now we got it again, admin panel. You can refer the instructions for solving this lab. In general, the concept here is after the logout, that token is still active and that the active token is used for accessing the admin account. Go to the admin panel. You have the option to delete it. When you logged out, when you have logged out from the active session, right, it is terminating the non-admin account. Just because we delivered the payload through this exploit server, it is considering the admin account. That is the key here. You need to have more practice to get hands-on on these kind of labs. And as and then you do more practice, you get more clarity on the way how these things work. Anyhow, to get started, you try to perform 2 or 3 labs for each of these authentication mechanisms. Fine, guys. These are the concepts which has more theory. Let us move on to the interesting concepts of Active Directory from tomorrow. Any questions, anyone? You can unmute and ask in case you have any doubts. No questions? Okay. Fine, guys. Post your attendance, all of you, in the chat. We'll connect tomorrow again. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye bye.